Some of the finest restaurants in the world are located in Santa Monica, California, and Micheal's is one of them. Our story begins inside the kitchen where the real magic happens. In the era of rock star chefs, it's easy to lose sight of the dream. The dream of realizing one's culinary creations as edible art. Not just once, but night after night, week after week, year after year. The dream of serving a great allegiance to the classical French technique of escoffier and poêle. The dream of defining our dishes classically, yet allowing them to be refined by modernity. This dream gets made or broken every night of the week in fine kitchens somewhere near your town. We will spend 2 days in such a kitchen on a busy winter weekend. What you're about to see is real. No script, no lines, nothing set up. Just 2 nights in one of the world's finest kitchens in pursuit of the dream.
I mean, you know, kitchen work is hard work. It's not for everyone. Well, my mother couldn't cook really, so I decided if I was gonna eat properly, I would have to cook myself my own dinners, you know.
Yeah, you just need to spin. Hold on, need to spin.
We greet them by name. We know exactly what their preferences are. A lot of times I'll shake their hand or I'll hug.
Let's go, Mike. Where do you want it, bro? The spin? Yeah,
The mystery, the society, the depth, the philosophy, the poetry, there's no end to what draws me to wine.
I knew that in 1979 when I opened this restaurant, that the easy part was working in the kitchen with my chefs in the morning and in the afternoon. And that the hardest part to be successful was when my clients were in here who knew nothing about what I was talking about.
So I went to culinary school. I fell in love with it right away. As soon as I walked into those kitchens, even at school, all the stainless steel and everything, I loved it. And stuck to it.
So then I got into it, and I went to catering college, and then I worked in a couple of restaurants, and I really liked the lifestyle and the food and everything around it. So I kept doing it.
I started in bartending back when I was in college, just purely by accident. I have a degree in psychology, and just started to bartend to earn extra money, and things proliferated to the point where I ended up being offered a managerial job because of my good interaction with guests and wanting to make the best type of a situation for them as possible. Comes very natural to me.
I've been in the restaurant industry for about 14 years. I always had a love for wine because my dad had bottles in our house. Not good wine, just bottles. And I always sort of enjoyed looking at those bottles, not knowing what they were or anything. And actually, now that I do know what they are, I realize that if I would have known then, I probably wouldn't like wine anymore because the bottles are just junk, old rosés and stuff. But it always gave me this fascination. So when I started out in the restaurant industry, I was always into wine, never knew anything about it. My first general manager at a restaurant called Bobby McGee's in Newport Beach, this very strict guy. He wore a tuxedo to work every day, even though it was a very casual, like middle-of-the-road restaurant. He wore a tuxedo to work every day, and he used to grill me on wine, just backwards and forwards, always trying to get me to understand things. I was 18 years old, never even opened a bottle in my life. He used to have me come in before work and open up every single wine by the glass at the bar. I remember years later, I was sent to San Francisco to open a restaurant and train the waiters there. And I had 1 day off in 3 weeks, and I went to Napa Valley on that 1 day off, and as soon as I saw the vines, I was completely hooked, in love. I've been obsessed with wine ever since.
I founded this restaurant, Micheal's in Santa Monica, 25 years ago. And it was one of the founding spots for California cuisine, which has evolved into new American cooking, basically regional American cooking. So we have very simple principles. We buy the best ingredients we possibly can get. We cook them as simply as possible. We have a big allegiance to the traditions of the great French cooking, Italian cooking. We also borrow both ingredients, presentation, and techniques from the Latin American cuisines, Asian cuisines, whether it's Thai or Japanese or Chinese. But the fundamental spine is French cooking because, to me, when you want to have the marriage of food and wine, which is really the fundamental basis for what I do here, the French style is the best. And that's what we do. We are blessed with being in California, where we have an extraordinary group of producers that make fabulous wine. Fabulous food is grown everywhere, and it keeps getting better every year.
So when I started culinary school, I quit all my work. I just wanted to concentrate on culinary school. I went to a CSCA in Pasadena. It's a cordon bleu program. So the first day of school, my intro teacher said, "Is there anyone looking to break in the industry?" I was like, "Yeah, right here." She's like, "Well, I have this friend opening up a restaurant in Santa Monica." I called her that night. I went to meet her the next day. They were opening up the Lobster here in Santa Monica. I went to her. I said, "Hi, I'm looking to get my feet wet. Never been in the kitchen." She's like, "Let me show you around." It was that easy because I had the referral from the chef who knew her from school. Worked there 2 months before we even opened, trying to just get in the kitchen ready, getting the kitchen started. Started at the bottom. I wanted to start at the bottom as a prep cook. Just slowly worked my way up. From prep cook, I went to pastry, from pastry to pantry, from pantry to like floating around the line, then to saute and then grill, which is pretty much the right way to do it. So I've worked every station in the kitchen other than dishwashing. And I just think that's the right way to do it. Start at the bottom. So when you're on top, which I'm nowhere near the top, you'll know every person's responsibility. You'll know every station perfectly, and you just know what needs to get done.
Went to a school outside of Paris, catering college, that prepares you for pretty much every catering jobs. They can have chefing, but also restaurant industry in general. So hotel work, service, a little bit of everything. So it's pretty wide open. So when you leave college, then you can pursue whatever career you want to. But I like the cooking aspect of things. So that's what I did.
I was first a wine waiter at a restaurant called Ocean Avenue Seafood. Wine waiter is a glorified waiter. Means that I was a waiter with my own station, and then when the other waiters had questions on wine or other tables had questions, they'd send me to their table and watch my station while I talked to them. Then I got the job as sommelier at the Water Grill in downtown Los Angeles with Chef Micheal Cimarusti, and that was the big step for me. I worked my butt off there and really started to learn a lot about wine there. That was my first international wine list, and that was the first wine list where I was in charge of purchasing by myself. That started me off. I was there for 3.5 years, and then I went to Melis restaurant, also in Santa Monica, right up the street from where we are, Chef Josiah Citron, and that's where I learned tons about wine. That's where I think I really became a good sommelier, because that's where we would sell bottles from the 20s and 61 Petrus, which cost $6,000 a bottle, which we charged $6,000 a bottle for. I had it 7 times there at that restaurant, and so many other legendary wines, along with the tremendous cooking of Josiah and the tremendous service at that restaurant. And I've done a few other beverage programs around town, and I've been here at Micheal's for about 6 months.
I got into it because my parents enjoyed entertaining. I went to France at an early age. I went to a program in Brittany in France. I lived with a family there that was also very much into entertaining and having a big time. They were a big group of people, about 60, 70 members of the family. And they are the ones that explained to me the hotel and restaurant school in Paris, the educational system. We didn't have in America. We did not have those kinds of schools here. And so from there I moved to Paris, and that's where I got involved in that, and I just happened to be there. Timing was impeccable. It was the beginning of, as I said, the French Revolution of food at the time, and it just, that was it. When I knew I could make a business of it, and I'd always wanted to do it. It was what it was from the beginning.
I met the chef Alison Thurber, who I think is one of the best chefs around. Super talented. I mean, she really knows her seafood. She's only worked at seafood restaurants for over 20 years. So she really took me under her wing. I consider her a mentor. She really taught me how to cook fish. So I wanted to start at the bottom. I started as a prep cook, which basically means, especially at the Lobster, super high volume restaurant. You know, 400 covers every weekend, every night actually. So I started as a prep cook. You know, peeling potatoes. You know, 2 50-pound cases, 100 pounds, peeling carrots. You know, making mashed potato, making dressings, making vinaigrettes, you know, all the basics. And I learned how to make, you know, vinaigrettes for you know, 500 people, you know, in huge quantities and stuff, which is great. You know, every single station I worked and every experience I had, negative or positive, just taught me.
Well, I started working in a restaurant near my hometown where I work, mostly a seafood restaurant. And I started pretty much from the beginning. I was doing salads, I was doing, you know, chucking oysters. I even worked the pot wash, you know, I was like cleaning everything. Because you got to start from the basics, you know, and then that's how you learn better, you know. There's some people that try and burn the stages and go straight to cooking, and then you miss a lot of like the educational. So, I mean, the best thing is to start from the beginning and just build your way up. This way you know every aspect of the restaurant, and that helps you for your future career, you know.
The community. Whenever a true wine lover tastes something good, they want to share it with everybody else. I think that's a through line. When chef makes something good, he runs out and he grabs somebody else and says, taste this, try this. He'll grab somebody when he's got a new ingredient. And it's the same thing with me. I open up a bottle and taste staff on it, or I'm very excited to sell one to a guest on the floor and pop it and share a glass with them or something like that. And there's a great society about it. The fact that wine, it can be a beverage where you just drink it and enjoy it like water, or it can be something where you sit and savor and ponder, and it reflects the heart of whoever made it. It reflects the soil, the climate of where it came from, every detail. My favorite thing is to go and walk vineyards. When you walk the vineyard and then you come back to Los Angeles and open up the bottle of wine, there's something in the wine that transports you back to that place. Good bottle of wine that tastes like the place. There's something about sipping it, remembering where it was, where it came from. That's one of the many things that I love about wine.
That's very important. As a matter of fact, that's something that really makes a good restaurant a great restaurant. Communication across the board, but especially between the front of the house and the kitchen. What I do is I take a look at the list of guests that we have, any special occasions that they're having, who they are, where they like to sit, what they like to eat, what kind of dietary restrictions they have. And I have like a little 3-ply sheet that I write down the name, the table number, what they like to eat, what kind of a problem they have, what kind of preferences they have. And one sheet goes to the front desk, one goes to the server, and one goes to the kitchen, so that everybody's on the same page and knows exactly what it is that we need to do so that the ball cannot be dropped.
The sous chef, in my biased opinion, is the unsung hero. It's the sous chef's job to pretty much run the kitchen. I like to think about it like a symphony orchestra in a way, where the chef is the composer, and you know he writes the menu pretty much, and the sous chef conducts. He brings it all together at once. You know, the way the kitchen works is you have all the different stations. So you have your cold appetizers, your warm appetizers, your fish and meat. And every kitchen's a little different, has their own variations depending on the size. I mean, there's huge hotel operations and whatnot. So it's my job to bring everything together at once. Let's say you have a table of 8, and so it's ready to be picked up, meaning they're ready for their dinner. And on that table, you have 3 items from the cold station, 2 items from the hot appetizer station, 2 fish, and a couple meats. It's my job to make sure that everything comes up at the same time, and at the right temperatures, and at the correct the correct state it's supposed to be, the tight presentation, make it all happen at the same time. So I kind of orchestrate the whole thing. While working my job is to work the grill, which does all the meats, all the poultry and the meats. You have to work with these tickets. What happens is the server greets the table, whatever, gets them their drink. So he takes their order. Then his next step is to go and punch it into the computer. As soon as he does that, we get the printer right in our kitchen. Now there's a lot of different variables too. A server, which we hate when this happens, but a server might take 2 or 3 tables, then come and punch it into the computer. So by the time we get the ticket, that first table has been waiting at least 10 minutes because he already took their order. Instead of going typing it right in, went and took another table. So we tell our servers not to do that, and they do get slammed, and there's a lot of pressure out there as well. So anyway, so let's say the server comes in, types it in, it comes out in one ticket, one for the first course and one for the second. So the expediter or the chef works the ticket station and reads out the ticket. So he'd be like, Mikey, give me 2 mixed green salads. Mickey, give me 2 scallops, 1 foie gras, followed by...
You give me a steak made rare, 2 rare, no frit, sub mashed potato. And 2 spiny, 1 no zucchini, sub haricot vert.
So that every cook has their own tickets that they work with, and I have kind of the master of all tickets, first course and second course, and that's how I really have to. I'm constantly watching the tickets, to make sure we don't miss anything, to make sure all the temperatures are right, to make sure if there's any allergies or no salt or no celery or no whatnot. There's all these different things, so that's pretty much I have to watch all that.
Everybody works really hard, so we need to make sure everybody needs help. People that needs help, or people in the kitchen, some of the cooks see. There's always problems that come out of it. There's never a typical day because sometimes you walk in and something broke down and you gotta fix it, and there's never a dull moment. It's like something's gonna happen at some point. Somebody's gonna cut himself. You gotta fill some paperwork, send him to the hospital because they cut their fingers, or the fridge doesn't work. Suddenly you gotta move all your food away. Something backs up. It happens all the time. So at first you panic, and then. But you should never really panic. You should always have a solution to try and fix things. But we're pretty good at that. So we usually adapt to a new situation, and we do it. I worked in a few places where suddenly the electricity went off. So suddenly there's no juice anywhere in the restaurant. And I've spent a few services where you have to cook with a candle because everything else is off. And I mean, it's hard. You don't want to really go tell your customers that you can't serve them. They all have to go away because, every restaurant owners, they kind of expect the income, and whatever. So you have to try and adapt to it. So I worked at that one place. We had candles, but of course the hoods weren't working. So the kitchen got really hot, and the candle just melted, and that was bad. Flashlights and stuff. But that happens,
Well, you must understand something. If you go back in time in America, whether you were in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, wherever you were, if you went into any city and you said, what's the best restaurant in a town? It would be a classical French restaurant. And that was what the rules were, because that was fundamentally who was cooking the best food. So and Americans didn't choose it as a career choice. It wasn't something that they would say, oh, I want to go out and be a chef, or I want to go out and be a waiter, or I want to go out and be a manager. There were classic American restaurants, known as continental cuisine. You'd find Perino's and Chasen's and places like that. That would have a little bit of, they weren't really French, they weren't really Italian, they weren't really American, they were sort of continental cuisine. And what happened was in France, when I was in cooking school there in the early 70s, it was the beginning of what they called the Nouvelle Cuisine Revolution, which was the revolution of French cooking, where you took the classical Escoffier French cooking, and you certainly used the foundations of that, all the different methods of cooking, sauces, presentation, etc. But then you would sort of say to yourself, wait a second, I would like to modernize it. And that's what the young chefs in France did, and they started that revolution there. So it got me thinking, and when I came back to the States here, I realized that what we lacked in America were great ingredients. And funny enough, the people growing the great ingredients happened to be Portuguese, Spanish, French, that had said that this is what we do. And then we had some regional American foods that were important, for example, like what was happening in New Orleans, New England, clam bake, for example, the Cajun Creole foods from down in Louisiana. Pretty much it was the same, just like in France. Wherever you went, you cooked the same thing. For example, if you were a young Italian, 15-year-old Italian kid in those days, and you went to the hotel and restaurant school in Rome or Turin or any of the major cities, Naples, guess what kind of cooking they taught you? They taught you French cooking. You were in Germany, they taught you French cooking, Belgium, French cooking, because that was the standard. So California was a very open society. It was sort of the underdog. Everybody made fun about California, those crazy Californians. But this was where it could happen, and this is where it did happen. So myself, Alice Waters and Chez Panisse, Jeremiah Tower, Mark Miller, Wolfgang Puck, we had a great group of people in those early 80s that just said, we're going to really work on this. And the wine people in California were growing, old-fashioned wine. And they stopped and they said, wait a second. The food and the wine's got to go together. There must be the marriage. And that's why, we just happened to be the laboratory. When I opened here, I had 4 or 5 young American chefs, Mark Peel, Nancy Silverton, Gordon Nacarado, Roy Yamaguchi, Ken Frank. And it was the beginning of Americans who were saying, okay, we want to try something. We want to evolve it into what we would call California cuisine, which is really another name for regional American cooking. In other words, we take the ingredients and the traditions of this area and we modernize them.
I enjoy bringing people out of the humdrum life and to bring them into a world where they can escape and have a wonderful meal with a fabulous atmosphere, great wine, great experience, to really kind of fulfill Michael McCarty, the owner of the restaurant's dream in regards to just making the restaurant experience the best that it can be. Tonight we got some celebrities here. We got the Huffingtons here, Ariana Huffington, Michael Huffington, as well as Michael Dukakis, who was the presidential candidate back in 1988.
I'm sorry, Ariana's coming in with Michael?
She may stop in. She may stop in to see Michael Dukakis.
Oh.
That's what Mike. No, I know that. Be that as it may, Michael Dukakis. I've worked at some of the fine dining and very, very well-known establishments in Manhattan. I was forced to come out here after the 9/11 incident happened. I was working very close to the World Trade Center. When it went down, it literally came down right in front of my restaurant and incapacitated the neighborhood. So I was immediately recruited by one of the big restaurant companies out here in LA. Originally came out here to work for the Patina Group, which is a very well-known company that was taken over by a big conglomerate out of New York City, and worked there for about a little bit under a year. Very, very corporate, very structured type of atmosphere. I'm much more of a hands-on person that likes to kind of do things entrepreneurially. Richard Cohen, 5 people on 54 at 7 o'clock. Michael De Jesus, 2 people on 56 at 7 o'clock. Ted Hartley, who's married to Dina Merrill, a famous actress who was also the heir to the Post fortune. Former owner of RKO Film Studios and VIP. They'll be sitting on 25. And then Michael Huffington, who's coming in with former Governor Dukakis, will be on 23, 5 people. Okay. Robert Papa. They will have a baby, so it'll be really 3 and a half. 3 people on table 5 at 7 o'clock. The baby's too little for a high chair. So my guess is they're probably. You know, it's just something that, you know, after doing it for 20 some odd years, it comes to be second nature. It's not something that everyone can do. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. It's like, I compare it very much, like I say, to doing a Broadway show where every day it's a different show. I mean, even though you're doing the same thing over and over and you're saying the same lines over and over, it's the same thing here. You know, we're selling the same menu items on a quarterly basis. We change the menu seasonally. So once a week or two goes by and everybody gets used to the menu, every day they're doing the same routine, just like someone would be doing on stage. You know, it's a human nature sometimes for a faux pas to occur. And again, it's all about communication. You just communicate with them, you talk to them, and you just got to stay consistent. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key to anything. As long as you are consistent with your communication, consistent with your actions, consistent with the food preparation, and consistent with the service, I think that that's a pretty good recipe for success. Then you got Mrs. Benjamin Touche, T-U-C-H, 2 people on 31 at 7:15. It's a happy birthday on dessert, 4th anniversary. Very sweet lady, got engaged here in 2000. 31. Then you have, this is very interesting, you have Jeff Wegg, 2 people on 28 at 7:15. The family owns Fenway Park. Number 1, his grandfather fixed the 1919 World Series. And likes to drink a lot of cocktails. That's what it says here.
The thing about Micheal's is it's a legendary restaurant. It's been around for 25 years. Absolutely incredible that it's still kicking, and it's kicking strong. The restaurant is one of the creators of California cuisine, along with Chez Panisse up in Berkeley. And the fact that that it's still going is pretty impressive in a city as finicky as Los Angeles. The feel of this restaurant is very much of California cuisine. You're comfortable. When you come in, you feel comfortable. And something that Micheal McCarty stresses is, who's the owner of the restaurant. He stresses service and familiarity, remembering what table specific guests like, what wine specific guests like, if they like their water room temperature, the details. And the difference is, as opposed to being crisp and as opposed to being flawless service, flawless execution, it's more about comfort, and it's more about making the guest happy, making the guest comfortable. A lot of the restaurants that I've worked at in the past are more about perfection, more about starched and consistency. And I love that too, definitely, but there's this feeling of comfort when you come into Micheal's, amongst the staff and I think amongst the patrons as well. Everybody's comfortable, and there's not too much unhappiness here.
It's not about the show. It's about the quality of the food, the way you presented it, and does it succeed? So what's happened now is, where we are now is a refinement period. So people are refining the regional American cookings, and they're saying, okay, fine, you know, we're in Northwest United States. We're in Washington State and Oregon. What happened here in the past? What are the traditions? How do we modernize those? Maybe I studied a little bit in France. Another chef down the road went to Thailand for a while. Another one spent some time down in Mexico City or in Oaxaca. Another one spent 2 years in Italy. They'll come back and they'll start to create, they'll go out to their local purveyors, and that's the most important thing, no matter where you are in the region of the United States. Locating your sources. You know, we are blessed with a farmer's market next door that's spectacular twice a week. And we have 2 other days a week, which are within 15 minutes of us in Pacific Palisades and in Venice. And that's before you go to Malibu or Westwood. So the concept is that, and what's happened is the refinement. It's not like, well, it's like fusion food is better, or, you know, it's not that. It's just that the choices in America are spectacular. Like when you used to live in Paris. Any day in Paris you could go, every night you could eat in a different kind of cooking, and it was always fabulous. Now in America you can do that. You can have Thai one night that's spectacular, you can have Italian one night that's spectacular, you can have American, you can have French, you can have high-end, low-end. So the choices are magnificent, and they're huge. And that's what's going on, is a refinement of that. So it's called a codification. What Escoffier did was, he's the guy who wrote it all down. This is what French cooking is. These are all the techniques of cooking. These are all the different sauces. These are all the different presentations. So he codified it. That's what's going on in America. The codification of the different regional American foods are now becoming to the point where you could buy a cookbook that said this is the Floridian New American Food Styles. These are all the ingredients they use. These are the chefs that are doing it. This is how they prepare it. This is what they present it like. They're just codifying it. Same thing with the Southwest, for example. These are the different chilies we use. These are the different techniques. Now, if you're a smart chef, you can see that, okay, they use a French technique here, but they perhaps use this kind of a chili for that. That's the beauty of it. And that's what's happening. So America's being spread with all of these great young men and women, American chefs, that are just refining what their statuses are, in terms of food and wine. And so are the winemakers. And the winemakers are doing the same thing. They used to make wine that looked like a sculpture. You put it up on a pedestal and stare at it. Today, they stopped doing that, and they started about 15 years ago, and they started making wine to go with food.
We're gonna get 6:45. Nothing.
But we only have 80, right?
Yeah. But 80 in one boom, I think. Good. Like we always do. Ludomer 3, Roger with a no couscous 4. Table 30.
Está bien.
All right, bro, table 6. You need another one, Cesar? Duck 3, Ludomer 4, table 6.
Do like a small order, whatever the two smallest ones are. Keep split 1 and 2, go 6 for la mesa 1. Vamos a ir por... Okay. Alright, 35, get dog 3. Ludomer 4, 55.
Pin and a side of free, aside, for the code. Fire. Vamos, acá aquí. Dinner is served.
Alrighty. You do the Côte de Boeuf right after that steak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Está bien. Fuck me, man.
Yeah. It wasn't too
Never
bad
again.
tonight. It wasn't too bad.
We gotta talk to those guys, like the dishwasher.
Yeah, they were fucking slow, man. They were way
We gotta
fucking
get
slow.
somebody's phone, man.
1 sack jumbo carrots, 3 each fennel, 2 each ruby grapefruit, 1
Ya
pound
está, güey.
jalapeno,
¿Qué quiere?
half case leeks, 1 case chanterelle mushrooms, 7 each Asian pears, 5 pound Kennebec potato, 2 each daikon roots, 3 bags clean washed spinach, 5 each tangerines, satsumas, 1 case Roma tomato, half flat sweet 100 tomato, 3 red, 3 gold please, 2 each Treviso, 3 bunches baby turnips, 5 pound yellow large zucchini, dairy order, 1 case extra large eggs, 1 each Gruyere, 3 each half and half, 2 each manufacturer's cream, 1 case Plugra butter, and 1 each ricotta salata. That's for Michael's things.
The great chef Francois Minot once said, "Anyone can make you enjoy the first bite of a dish, but only a real chef can make you enjoy the last." The craft and careful attention to detail that makes these types of dishes possible incurs a great deal of pressure for perfection, and with that perfection comes stress. When 30 dinners need to be served at the same time, each with its own alterations and adjustments, the pursuit of perfection becomes too much to handle, and sometimes it can become unbearable. Perhaps this is what happened to Chef Bernard Lassault. Awaiting a yearly review by renowned French publication, Chef Lassault's restaurant, Côte d'Or, in Burgundy, France, stepped into high gear. Already a top chef in France who had earned 3 Michelin stars and fame around the world, the pursuit of perfection became tragic. After being marked down 3 points in the review, Chef Lassault felt that his life and his great creations were over. On February 25, 2003, Chef Lassault was found dead by his own hand, a victim of suicide. As the pressure of becoming a great chef mounts day after day, year after year, it is surprising to find culinary schools all over the world at maximum capacity. Who in the world would want to place themselves under this great amount of pressure and stress? What kind of person would choose this as their art?
I went up north to San Francisco. I called a few restaurants, and nobody wanted to talk to me. Like I called, tried to talk to the sous chef, the chef. Nobody wanted to talk to me, and so I came down here and got a few restaurants. And Michael's was the first place I called, and I asked to speak to the sous chef, and he was the only one that would talk to me, the only one that gave me any time. So I talked to him. He told me to come down, and he let me do my internship here, off the clock, for free.
Día, luna, día, pena. ¿Dónde es, chef? Ah, sí, chef. Mira, no más grasa, güey. No te puedo matar aquí.
When I worked as a nanny for a family of 4, and the only part of the job I really, really loved was cooking for the family and kind of bringing them together. So I actually quit my job and told them that, you know, I was going to start a new career, and I signed up for culinary school.
I mean, like my chef's chingón, Nadav's chingón, my chef's chingón, everybody's chingón here. You know, the best guy.
Because the American people, I think, don't like watch huevas or these lazy people. Because Mexican, we need money.
Only 31 and 8, Kakis. What's your line? What's your line say?
53, 8, 31, and 29.
What's 53? Does that go already?
Oh, look, I haven't taken anything out.
Kakis, you have 53?
Yeah, I like to watch news, you know. Yeah, but maybe more year I want to go, like I said, try there to cook, you know.
I work in the pastry, stationary pastry. I like the pastry. Yeah, I like the, you know, the.
Oftentimes, they're able to make minor adjustments to make something that seemed like a big problem go away. So, and that's really cool that they can do that. Olivier has been really responsive to the customer feedback. If a sauce is too salty, or if the creme brulee wasn't the right consistency, or whatever, or what they expected, because it's not what's right. Olivier probably knows better than anybody what's right, but what the customer wants and what the customers are expecting. So we can try and make them happy.
Well, oddly enough, what I really like is when I finally get the bar stocked. And for me, that sometimes happens around 9 o'clock at night, depending on how things go. But I really get a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling when I know I've got everything exactly where I want it, in the amounts that I want it, and I'm ready to roll.
My mom actually has a subscription to Bon Appetit magazine, and I do too, and we were reading, I guess, the magazine of the month, and we both came across the article of Micheal's, and she suggested, you know, it'd be a great place to go try out a new restaurant. So myself, my brother, and my boyfriend and my brother's girlfriend, we all came here for dinner, and we met Micheal McCarty, and it was just a great experience. We had, you know, great bottles of wine, and, you know, what a great atmosphere. And at the end of the evening, Micheal McCarty suggested that I come take a look at the restaurant, and I called the next day and came and took a look, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you know, especially in the beginning, I would have nightmares with the ticket machine going off. It wouldn't stop. But, you know, now it's just like any other job. You know, you do the same thing every day, you get better and better at it. So with more practice, you know, you become more confident, it becomes more easy, and you just enjoy it more.
No, I've waited tables on and off since college, 15 years. I've worked in beach bars in San Diego, and barbecue joint in Tennessee, Mexican place in Tucson, Arizona, a fish restaurant in New York, cafes and lounges and bars, and ended up back here in California with California cuisine at Micheal's restaurant.
I really love just the colors that, you know, a lot of the pastries have to offer. There's a lot of, you know, vibrant colors with the fruits, and there's just a lot of meticulous work, you know, that you have it in the other stations too, but the pastries, you know, there's more time as opposed to, you know, the hot apps, or, you know, it's just right at the moment.
I have fun, like, you know, that's like really important. I get up, you know, I like coming to work, it's good. I work with a bunch of good people. But depending on the day, you know, if it's a Saturday, I want to sleep in, you know, I don't really want to come to work.
Well, I'm working on it, you know. I'm actually not great at the pressureful moments, you know, and I'm just out of culinary school, and I think right now that is my biggest challenge, you know. Getting things out quickly, on time, perfect, you know, that is my true challenge right now.
I usually get here like an hour before the schedule says, probably around 2-ish. And I just start prepping for the day, for tomorrow, or for the next day. Making sure everything, I'm ready for service, talking with the guys, and you know, just making sure I got everything, you know, ready to go, so in case I get hit, I got everything I need. It's an adrenaline rush, you know, you just get a bunch of tickets all at once. Sometimes you're overwhelmed, sometimes, you know, you can work with it, but everything always works out at the end. You know, everybody helps each other out over here, so that's all good.
Well, I'm sure the kitchen would tell you we do too much back there. They like it, it's a small space, and it's really packed in, and they're putting out a lot of food of a very high quality, and they need their concentration. They don't need to be distracted by us all the time. So, but we do interact. Certainly anytime there are special orders, we have to make sure that the kitchen understands what it is that the customer needs, and we try to interact with whoever's expediting the food, whoever's sending it out, and then that person will then translate or relay the message to whoever on the line needs to know that information. Anytime a customer sends something back, for whatever reason, our goal is to, as quickly as possible, make the situation better. And so we try and interact with whoever's expediting and try and get the situation fixed as quickly as we can. There's also, of course, just the fact that we're passing through the kitchen 100, 150, 200 times a night. So there's always some sorts of interaction, from just trying to stay out of the way to coming through with a big, whatever, tray full of glassware, and you got to make sure that nobody bumps you. And you have accidents. I mean, of course, accidents do happen. Glasses break, and you got to clean things up. And we're also back often when we are busting our own tables, so we're interacting with the kitchen staff that way. It's interesting to watch what goes on back there, for sure.
Because it just goes on all night. Like, Mondays are usually pretty slow, 30, 40 covers, and it's the worst.
Why?
Because the time goes by super slow, as opposed to like a Saturday night or a Friday night when, you know, you're just going from 6 o'clock till 10:30, 11 o'clock, nonstop. And that, it makes it seem like you only worked, 2 hours, as opposed to a slow night where it's like 10, it makes you feel like you work 10, 12 hours of just service, and that's the worst.
I've worked at places where basically once the happy hour starts, your head goes into the well and then it comes back out when it's in the end of your shift. It's harder here, though, because of the wine knowledge required. I mean, this is a very high-end restaurant, and you don't really, it's not slap and dash. I mean, you just don't put it together and place it out. You've got to give some thought to it.
You know, it's amazing because I'm probably 2 people out of, an entire, group in my hometown who's ever ventured out to culinary school. So it's actually really cool. When I go home, lots of people like to talk to me and ask me questions about what I'm doing and are really interested. So it's fun. And actually, since I've been doing it, 3 more have ventured into culinary school. I don't know if they'll graduate, but, it's really fun to, be out here so other people can check it out.
The more rewarding are obviously when somebody comes up to you and taps you on the shoulder, and you turn around and they say, I just want to come up and say thank you very much, and shakes your hand and said, you did a great job. The looks of enjoyment on people's faces when they take a bite out of something that you recommended and they were kind of taking a chance on, and they say, oh wow, this is fantastic. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I don't know, the reward is very tangible, it's very real, it's very obvious, and it happens over and over again. And I mean, one of the tough things about this job, like I guess most jobs, is that you can't get too high or too low. You can't let whatever a bad experience, a negative experience of somebody that was unhappy for whatever reason, get you too down, because you have to concentrate on making everybody else happy as well. And you can't get too excited about, wow, I did a great job there, because then you're forgetting about the 5 other people that are waiting for something over here. So, and the lows are certainly when you can't make somebody happy. Hard as you try, you did what you could, and for whatever reason, your fault, somebody else's fault, whoever's responsibility, or just the general demeanor of the customer, you can't make them happy. And it just, yeah, it's hard sometimes not to take that personally too. So.
So tonight is looking like a pretty busy night. We got already 145 people. Hopefully we'll end up with almost the same as we did last week, which was about 200, but reality will probably dictate that we'll probably do about 160.
Yeah, I got one. Adductor muscle. Not edible, but no. I recommend it. That's the muscle that holds it to the shelf. Fresh day boats from Maine. Truck this morning.
The other thing that you really should take a look at is that we have a new plaque up by the front desk saying that we are known for the Award of Excellence for the Del Rona.
you and shut the fuck up.
I still got shit to do. I'm sick of it. Let's see how you like me when I jam my fist up your ass. I know you. Hey,
See this? It's feeling lovely.
yeah. How many do you need? 1, 2, 3. That's right. I'm going to need right.
We are known as one of the best restaurants in Southern California and the most romantic outdoor garden in Southern California. So that's also up there too. So these are all positive things. So that's really good. I'm really happy that you guys really can think on your feet and know how to handle yourselves in any type of situation. So that's really good.
These guys they're good. They're really tight. They, you can tell in the way that they play, the way that they interact when they're not working. They all get along. They respect each other, and they work hard. Again, they put out a lot of high quality food, and sometimes in very intense circumstances. When we have a busy night, and they'll have 12, 15, 20 orders working at any one time, and to watch how fast they move, the heat back there, the closeness, moving around each other and not knocking each other over and not having somebody fall into the grill. It's amazing what they do back there, and I'd say by far this is the best kitchen that I've worked with.
Out of everybody here, I may have the least. The bar here is not really all that much of an eating bar. It tends to be more of a holding area for people waiting for tables. So I don't do a lot of the food here, nothing compared to what the servers deal with. So usually my interaction is trying to stay out of their way as I'm going back to the wine cooler to restock.
So there's always, whenever you're sort of passing through the kitchen, you try to, as much as possible, just kind of keep an eye on where your tables are, where your tickets are. If there's going to be a long lag time, you need to be able to tell the tables about that. If things are coming out quicker than you expect, you need to make sure you have your silverware set up so that it's there when they arrive. Again, the same with the second course. You kind of try to be there as much as possible when the food arrives, so you can, again, make sure that everything's okay, check back in a minute or two, report any responses from the tables to the kitchen. I know I feel bad because oftentimes it seems like the kitchen's always getting the bad news. Oh, they don't like this. Oh, this is undercooked. Oh, this is all screwed up. But you also try to report the good news too. Table 12 loved the steak, clean the plate, whatever. It's as much as possible so that they know they're doing a good job. Because, I mean, again, you want to make sure that they have, I don't know, they're properly rewarded for all their hard work. So.
Yeah.
Where's Micheal?
Let me take a gander.
Beaver tail? It's a beaver. It's a dried beaver powder. Pan? Yeah.
Little drizzle of you, Mikey?
A little bit of and a sprinkle of that.
That's an appetizer or dinner? Appetizer. Yeah, Olivier?
But before we start speaking of what is going to happen during the course of the evening and some other things I wanted to share with you, let's first take a look at what we're having for specials tonight, as being presented by Nadav and Olivier.
Just leeks cooked down with butter, white wine, salt, pepper, and double blanched whole clove garlic, which turns sweet. And then we have a little a classic like frise apple salad on top. Frise apples, baby tomatoes, fennel, and red onion. And a double blanched garlic. So
in the fondue.
In the fondue.
What's the leek? I mean, frise again.
Frise, apple, Fuji apple, fennel, and red onion. And actually, we use the port wine jus as well. So that's the sauce with a little chive oil.
The dark red stuff is port wine jus?
It's port wine jus, yeah.
21?
21, Olivier?
Yeah, 21.
Oh, and Olivier, didn't you want to? Yeah.
Well, and we'll
But
also
it's
have-
not done. We're gonna finish the dish with a batarga.
I also picked up that's already on the menu, but it hasn't really been selling lately. Yesterday was better. We sold a bunch because you guys pushed it, but I just picked it up again so we can talk about it even more, and maybe we can push it to the customers. And we also have this, which doesn't look much from here, you know.
That's botarga?
Yeah, that's botarga.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Doesn't look beautiful right now, but it tastes great. It's actually it's the egg sac. I'm sorry, of the either tuna or mullet, and they make it all over the Mediterranean. You find version of this all over, Greece, North Africa, Spain, Italy, France. It's all over the Mediterranean. It's just basically the whole egg sac that's cured and pressed down until it really dries. And it's full of flavor, and it's only good if you do really tiny shavings of it and mix it in like salads or various dishes. It adds a lot of flavor to it.
What would you say that the flavor is like?
It's not too fishy, but it's very Mediterranean. Like if you've been around the Mediterranean, you probably have had it, and maybe you don't know what it is. And if you try it again, a little bit goes a long way in a dish. That's why you gotta use a peeler and just peel like little shavings on top. So we're gonna just do it over the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good flavor enhancer.
So you just really shave a few.
So is that going to be on the dish?
Yeah. A few slivers on it.
Oyster.
Table side?
And
Behind the bar, they hold the fire.
You want to do table side?
can we?
Maybe we can get this
Then you
electric
shake someone's
Parmesan.
hand.
You know, the electric Parmesan things like they have at cheesy Italian restaurants?
Before we set up the bar, we're going to make us 8 o'clock. John Martin, 2 people on 25 at 8 o'clock, celebrating an engagement and celebrating a birthday. So it's happy birthday, Jennifer, on Deserted Choice. Please acknowledge both. Okay, so that will be at 8 o'clock, and that will be something that I'll have to tell Kevin. Michael McCarty, our illustrious owner, will be here at 8 o'clock. 4 people on table 8. Carnig Sharkissian, 6 people on 27 at 8:15.
Carnig and Shake.
Well, it says SH here. Turn off, turn off, turn off, turn off. Turn off, turn off, turn off, turn off. Turn off.
As a matter of fact, today somebody said to me, "No, what are you going to cook? 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 What are you going to cook?" As a matter of fact, today somebody said to me, "No, what are you going to cook today?" And I said, "Grandpa, with relish. I hope you like it." And they said, "Oh, well, you know, I never tried it, and I don't really like fish very much anyway."
Here at Micheal's especially, we see a lot of culinary school students who want to come here, and they really are delusional. I mean, they think out of culinary school they can be chefs. The only way you're going to become a chef is through years and years of experience. You know, you have to have years and years of experience to know what you're doing and to you know, run a kitchen. I mean, it's hard work, but I love it. I thrive in these conditions. You know, it's really hot and dangerous, and I just love it. It's just a great thrill for me, and you know, I love coming to work. You know, sometimes it's a drag, sure, but sometimes, you know, I'm hungover, I'm feeling sick, you know, but when that rush starts, it's so great. I forget about everything. You know, it's almost like we used to do some surfing, and, you know, when you're surfing, everything's A-okay. You know, you completely shut out the rest of the world, and when we're in the shit or we get really busy, it's kind of like, it's a similar rush. Mikey, Mike, 2 foie gras all day.
Of the kitchen, certain stations that were always falling behind, and through you know, training and really educating some of the cooks, and you know, we're really working with the sous chef. We build a pretty strong brigade that, you know, fortunately now we're pretty rarely backed up, which is good, because it's something we can look back and be proud of, because it wasn't always the case. Now we have such a strong brigade that last Saturday we did about 200 covers. It wasn't backed up, you know, everything did what they had to do. It was a tough night, but everybody stick up to the plate. There was no, you know, nobody being backed up. But if in case that would happen, if somebody gets backed up, then I can always leave the expediting position, just jump in, help the person, you know, get ahead, or, you know, but what's important is the system. It's better to have a good system in place so that you don't have to deal with the consequences later.
Table one. Table one. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's no spiny cookie.
No, yeah, all right.
It's not a spiny.
Stall one. Hermano. Stall one. Foie gras dos. Stall four.
So 3 turn of those.
Yeah. Table one.
So I went to every single table in the very beginning. I gave the specials. I explained the menus. And I went to every single table with a little waiter behind me who took the order. And after the first year of doing that, my waiters were good enough to do that. My managers were good enough to do that. So the primary juggling that I did was in a common day was that when the clients weren't in the house, in other words, when we were open from 12 until 3 and from 6 until 10, I was on the floor working and educating the customers. The rest of the time, I was with the chefs in the kitchen in the front of the house and management because we changed the way of service. You know, we have a modern American form of service now, different from the way the old French techniques were, which was what everybody used. You know, they used to have a very formal captain and a maitre d' and a front waiter and a back waiter. We stylized it down. I had to modernize it so that it would be much more friendlier-oriented to our customers, you know, less stiff. I didn't want a formal restaurant. So the answer is from day one, I realized that, and that was a successful move. You know, it's the same story. When I lived in France during those years, people would say, you know, well, how come you didn't work 6 months here and 3 months there and 6 months there? I said, because I had my education at the schools. I had very good teachers in both schools, and I found that for me, my learning ability, I could learn much more by just going to dinner at the place twice. Because I already knew all the other stuff. I didn't need to go through the old-fashioned system of spending 6 months peeling potatoes, you know. That was the way it was in those days. You know, for me, I could go eat there twice. I could see what they were doing great. Could go to another place, see what they were doing. I could keep, you know, and that's what I did. I mean, I did that for 4 years. I still do it today.
Tomato, 3 red, 3 gold, please. 2 each, chorizo, 3 bunches baby turnips, 5-pound yellow large zucchini. Dairy order, 1 case extra large eggs, 1 each Gruyere, 3 each half and half, 2 each manufacturer's cream, 1 case blueberry butter, and 1 each ricotta salata. That's for Michael's things.
In the end, it's the finest dreams that arrive at your dinner table. Born out of the struggle and sacrifice of the men and women who strive to make it so that what you eat is new, fresh, and exciting. It is these dreams that inspire the next generation of chefs who are filling culinary schools waiting to make their stamp on our future restaurants. It is these dreams that will define our future gastronomic habits, not so much as a competition of what food is better or worse, but a celebration of what food and ingredients are inspiring, interesting, and worthwhile. And it is these dreams that will ultimately become a definition of our culture, measured in artistry and beauty, and perhaps most importantly, taste.
This is a lovely bottle of Chateau Ypres 2003 Manischewitz Blackberry, 100% pure blackberry wine. It's been open for about 2 months. So I did put a small amount in my mouth, but I won't be putting any more in my mouth. I chugged an entire bottle of Manischewitz once as a kid. That was probably my first real wine experience. I just got really hyper. There's so much sugar in this stuff. Manischewitz. I recommend the Concord.
All right.
You close the door, Takis? Thank you, brother. That's it. That's what you're looking at. But you want to go nice and wide. And that's the shot.
I bartend and also fill in for manager when the general manager's off. And I break glasses. Multi-talented, what can I say?
No, I say only my chef, thank you, my chef, chingones. Welcome to my course. And that's it.
Coming in, making sure everything's pretty set for. Oh, nice. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, and.
Yeah, that can't be on camera.
Did you see it shoot?
You can go back on.
Don't piss off your bartender. He's in charge of your drinks. That's always a good motto.
You're going to get beat on live and direct.
Are you guys testing right now, or are you shooting actually? We're testing. Okay. I feel super. Thanks for asking. There he is. Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar.
I need an order for Monday, but please, we need some good salmon. I don't want any of that shit you sent me last weekend because it was just terrible. I can go fish it myself. So next time, just.
And I want to ask you, people say never trust a skinny chef.
Yeah.
You're kind of skinny, dude.
No, this side kind of hides.
You know what? I just keep going. Wait, can we cut that real quick? Oh, God, I forgot my chef. In the culinary school, he said something to me, and I forget what it is. I wish I could remember.
And it's too late, baby, now it's too late.
Good.
Congratulations.
All right, you guys. Keep doing it. Don't get into trouble.